But again, it is coming back to that political will to do the right thing. It comes back to levels of implementation. It comes back to the right technical talent, at the different ministries responsible or in government. And those are the areas in which we are failing because we really are not bringing that level of as I keep saying, scientific methodology, empirical data, evidence-based approaches to the work that we're doing. Too much of what we continue to do, we continue to operate as though we're in dark ages when it comes to understanding our criminal justice system. And although we keep making the money investment, we're not getting that return on investment as citizens. And we've got to understand that criminal justice, the administration of justice, these are services that you pay your taxes, right? This is why you pay taxes to get these services. And I don't think we make the connection in this country. And we've got to also make the connection that people have rights. Whether or not you're incarcerated, whether or not you're free, you still have rights. And if those rights are not being met, you're not going to be a happy camper. So, we need to grow up a lot when it comes to understanding criminal justice. As I said, many of the leaders that we have there don't have a comprehensive understanding of what is required to reduce crime in this country. And they look at things in silos, and they've got to understand that you've got to cross-wire and you've got to bring different groups and skill sets together if we really want to reduce crime, criminality, and violence in this country, because we're in a place that, we really should not be. And the sad thing is that many people think we're not coming out of this sort of violence based anytime soon.
The Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago said yesterday that the nation can look forward to, by the end of the year, night courts, at least one in Trinidad and one in Tobago. Folks have been calling for courts to deal with gun courts and traffic courts and all these things for a long time. Are you encouraged by this promise?
Well, how encouraged could I be? I don't know. How encouraged do you think I should be, Rennie?
I think you know my answer.
Right. So what I'm saying to you, it might be night court in a structure. It might be a building that you could go into. But then again, it comes to the services that are being provided. It's the same thing. He said we should look forward to juvenile courts, and that's great, So we're going to have courts, we're going to have magistrates and judges who are dealing with juvenile issues. But in this country, we have zero services, because I won't even say limited when it comes to providing the requisite kinds of diversions and interventions for juvenile. Hence the reason you have school violence and you have a Ministry of Education that's stressed out when it comes to coming up with options, because they don't have the option. So you can provide the court, the infrastructure and the space, but then it comes to the technical talent. Then it comes to the individuals who are willing to get the job done. Then it comes to the kinds of services that you're providing. Then it comes to case management. And we keep doing it all the time. So to promise me a building where it's a beautiful thing. And listen to me, I think the Chief Justice is absolutely wonderful. I think he's a brilliant man. He has great ideas. But, he's been there for quite some time.
Well-intentioned,
but he keeps saying the same thing over and over.
Well-intentioned, but good intentions are not results.
And we know what does it say about the road to where it's paved?
With wonderful promises, yes, indeed. Renee, before I close this down, I do want to ask you, because the Archbishop, when he made while he made it, because the church has declared a year of mercy, the Pope is the one who did that. But when he did it as a corporate citizen. It raises the question. That's why I like me some Renee Cummings, because I like me some real talk. When he spoke as a corporate, as the church being a corporate citizen. Is the corporate establishment and the NGOs in Trinidad and Tobago doing their part to insist and or to advocate for us to get more than just words when we are all victims of this situation?
Well, it comes back again to that budget you spoke about with national security and just the national budget in general. And many of our NGOs have good technical talent. They have great intentions, but they don't have the money for that level of advocacy that you're speaking to. Many of them don't even have access to media. So there are many people doing great work on the ground who need to be funded, because all of what happens when it comes to criminal justice reform cannot happen at the level of government or the ministerial level. It needs to come from the ground up. So we don't really invest in advocacy as we should. So too many of our NGOs are out there doing work, but they need the resources, if it's even to create a social media presence, or to build up that kind of media appreciation for what they're doing. So when it comes to our NGOs, I think they could be more vocal, but sometimes you need resources to be more vocal and to do more real work. But when it comes back to His Grace, as I said to you, in the interest of transparency, we do share a very close professional relationship. But before we share that professional relationship, I have always been impressed with in the ways in which he thinks. He's a very solid critical thinker. He is a good man. He is a kind man. He has an extraordinary heart. But, I mean, it shouldn't even come to the question of the Pope saying, let's have a year of mercy and we're going to release people from remand. That is everyday operation of your criminal justice system, where you've got to be managing your cases and looking at the individuals who are there and looking at the kinds of resources that you're spending and looking at how much it takes to keep one person incarcerated, and just understanding that justice, I keep saying, has got to be real time. It has to be on time, because if it is not, it means you are wasting human life and human potential, and you are destroying families and creating extraordinary levels of trauma and pain and despair in the lives of citizens of this country. And that is not what justice is about.
When you dissect insanity, it has been said it would be a combination of doing the same thing and expecting different results. I am struck by this in parting, because at some point, we know that your advice has been sought by a lot of people. We know that you are a renowned criminologist. We know that you've been there advocating all the time. We know more money has been sent to the ministry. Then we must ask the question, have they called on you? Are they listening to you? What is happening with a national resource like Renee Cummings? Is somebody listening or somebody refusing to listen? Why are we not getting some of the proposals that we have heard you proffer being implemented in a way that we can feel it? What's going on here?
Well, I would say it will take time, but as I said to you, I am on several committees with the CCJ, and we're looking at some regional initiatives, and it is certainly an honor and a pleasure for me to be among that distinguished company when it comes to Sir Dennis Byron, Justice Adrian Saunders, Justice Kenneth Benjamin, Justice Maureen Rajnath Lee. I mean, I am learning so much from them, in as well as they're learning from me. Again, I am working with His Grace, and we have a brilliant initiative that is soon to come on board. It's going to take maybe about 24 months or more, that is really going to redefine criminal justice system. So His Grace is a man who puts his money, or the church's money, where his mouth is. And of course, other that, and the other level, no, people do come to me, and people do seek my advice, and it takes a little time, Mr. Bishop. I think as a people and culturally, sometimes we're a little slow to the draw, but eventually I think we're going to get there. But I think more citizens have got to be vocal, and I think more citizens need to educate themselves on their rights. I think in this country, people don't understand that they have rights. They don't understand that they are clients of the criminal justice system. They don't understand that they can make demands on the police, on the courts, on the prison system. They don't understand that there needs to be something called excellence in customer service delivery when it comes to criminal justice system in this country. And I think just as a society, we need to become much more vocal. And we've got to learn to turn the kind of anger that we have when we read these stories in the newspaper about crime, criminality, and violence into action. And that level of advocacy doesn't have to come from an NGO, but it comes from the self, because I always believe that the personal is political.
Straight talk is good manners. Criminologist Renee Cummings, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me this morning.
It is always a pleasure. Have a wonderful day, Rennie, and have an amazing day, Trinidad and Tobago.
And I thank you. And I thank you so much. Take care now. It's currently 7 minutes from the top of the hour. Criminologist Renee Cummings with us, talking about the proposal from the Archbishop of the Catholic Church, along with the allocation of resources, the use of resources, exactly what our criminal justice system stands for, should stand for, and the injustice that's being done to those who are in remand, way in excess of the time that is accepted in the international community. 6 minutes away from the top of the hour, the Minister of Public Administration and Communications is here, and we will be joining him right after this.